Okay, so the agenda for today's webinar is this quick intro. We'll go over what is IT Autopilot. Matt is going to do a great demo live for you guys. And at the end, we'll summarize by talking a little bit about what makes our IT Autopilot unique. Okay, so Daniela was meant to be the co-host over here, but things happen, as you guys may all know. There are technical issues all the time, so I'm over here as the replacement. So nice to meet you all again, and along with me here is Matt. Matt, say hello again.
Hi, everyone. Thanks all for joining today.
Perfect, and I'm going to share with you guys some housekeeping rules. So a recording of this session will be shared afterwards, so you guys can always watch it back if needed. If you guys have any questions throughout the session, you guys should see a Q&A tab right beside the chat. So please leave any questions in the Q&A so I can make sure to answer it as we go along today. Any comments, emojis can definitely go in the chat. So make sure to stay engaged and interact as much as possible. And at the end of the webinar, we will be sharing a short survey with you guys. So please make sure to fill it out. If you're interested in an autopilot demo afterwards, you want to make sure to leave that information in the survey. So moving forward, we're going to start off with a really quick poll to make sure we have everyone's attention. So the first poll question, it should be right beside the chat and Q&A tab as well, is, are you using AI in your day-to-day? So let's start voting, you guys. I want to see what you guys are up to. So feel free to fill out the poll. I see some are saying yes, some are saying sometimes. Okay, so I see most of you guys are using it sometimes or a day, as Mason is saying in the chat. I'm seeing some yes and cannot live without it. At least that's how I feel. Okay. Yeah, so definitely I see most of you guys are using AI in your day-to-day. I see very few that are saying not yet. It was actually spelled notes yet, but I meant not yet. So thank you guys for filling it out. And one more question before we continue is the following. I opened up the second poll and it's asking, which one of these tasks take up most of your time? Is it resetting passwords? Is it handling repetitive and manual tier 1 tasks? Is it managing too many IT tools? Is it user frustration and poor experience? Or none of the above? We are pretty streamlined. So make sure to vote. I'm seeing a lot of handling repetitive tasks, a lot of tier 1 support tasks, some resetting passwords. Okay, so I'm really seeing a mix of answers, but all of them are valid. So thank you guys. Matt, I'm going to hand it over to you now. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, hi everyone, excited to chat to you today. So I wanted to start the webinar by talking about why and what is autonomous IT. And so to just dive in, fundamentally, why are we so obsessed with autonomous IT is that we're fundamentally seeing some challenges in the IT space right now. And there's a couple of different challenges to really hone in on. And so to start one, we're seeing a huge increase in the number of tickets, right, that are coming through service desks. And this is not being matched up with a huge increase in the amount of headcount that IT teams have. And so we are drowning in work, right? The other thing is it's incredibly hard to find IT talent, right? So even if we could hire more people to answer all of those tickets, it's still incredibly hard to sort of fill those roles that we have. And then we know that being down can cost a huge amount to our business. And so there's this huge amount of costs with regards to IT downtime. Right. And so what we want to do is really look to autonomous IT to see if we can help with some of these challenges that we're seeing in the industry. And so when we look to autonomous IT from the perspective of Atera, There are two AI products that we have on offer. The first product that we have is an AI Copilot product, right? It is Atera's Copilot product, and it's really an assistant to you as an IT team. And so each technician gets an AI Copilot that is going to allow them to summarize information faster, find solutions faster, and really just upskill what they have access to. And then there's a second product that we have, and that's what we're going to be focusing on today, which is IT Autopilot, right? And so that empowers anyone in your organization to get access to IT support in real time 24/7. Now, it's not just IT support getting back knowledge base articles. It's actually solving their problems end to end, because we all know that, even I'm guilty of this. If I get a knowledge base article back, I'm still going to go back and ask for some more help. And so when we look at our IT Autopilot, right, it's essentially a personal IT technician for every single employee that we have. It's available 24/7, right? And it's built to solve. It's not built to just respond, right? And so there's so many different winners coming from the Autopilot. One, we look at the end users. End users now have zero time SLA. They do not need to wait for responses. And we know that, in IT, some people ask questions and, it could just be, hey, I need to reset my password. And to get a response, they wait an hour, and then you get back to them and it's another hour. Significantly time consuming. For IT teams, we don't have to waste our time solving sort of the tasks that we don't want to solve, these repetitive tasks, these soul-crushing tasks like, hey, I need this software on my endpoint, or hey, my computer's running slow, and all you need to say is, hey, go ahead and restart your computer. And then for the organization, right, it's a way to scale the IT team without hiring additional people to the team, right? So you're able to solve a lot more and allow the team to free themselves up to focus on higher impact projects. Cool. So what I'm going to do right now is we're going to focus on a demo of our Autopilot product. And so we'll go through this together. So I'm going to quickly share my screen of the demo and we'll go through it at one time. Great. So this is Atera's service portal. If some of you aren't familiar with Atera already, Atera is an all-in-one IT management platform. So we combine many elements of RMM and we combine many elements of PSA into one platform. And because we have all of these core underlying features, right, we're able to leverage AI to really supercharge them. And so what we're looking at right now is we're looking at a service portal that users can come in and they can interact with our Autopilot, so to get their questions answered. But this does not mean that your users have to interact with our Autopilot directly in the service portal. The great thing about our Autopilot is it really can sit anywhere. So it can, if you're a Microsoft Teams user, right, you can interact with Autopilot in Microsoft Teams. If you use Slack, you can interact with it in Slack. If your team is comfortable with sending emails, right, the Autopilot can actually respond to emails as well. And one better, if you don't use Atera's ticketing system already, we hope you do, but it's completely up to you. This can actually sit on top of any other ticketing system. So we have tons of customers that are actually integrating Autopilot into their ticketing systems. Now, the sweet spot of Atera's Autopilot that makes it incredibly powerful is we know who the user is and we have access to their device by having an agent on their device. So we're actually able to do a lot of powerful solutions for them. So to get started, we'll just start at a really, really basic solution just to kind of show you how we can uncover a variety of different use cases. And so the first use case I want to show you is answering directly from a knowledge base. So a user comes in, you have a guest in the office, and you need to find the guest Wi-Fi password. So I can say, what is the guest Wi-Fi password? Okay, so what's going to happen is a ticket's going to be created. So as an IT team, you can still see everything that's coming across. What it's going to look through is it's going to look through your specific knowledge base. And what it will return is it will return an answer for you, right? With the knowledge, with the guest Wi-Fi password. which, in my opinion, this is really table stakes, right? Like being able to search through a knowledge base. But let's step it up a notch and talk about what else we can actually solve. And so we talked a little bit, through this webinar already about password resets, right? A user forgets their password, they come in, they wait an hour to get a response, they've got that downtime costs. But now what they can do, they come to the autopilot and they say, hey, I forgot my password. Okay, what's going to happen? Of course, the ticket's going to be created for you. So from a reporting standpoint, you're going to have all of the data that you need to see what's going on. Now what's happening is the autopilot's looking to see how you've set this up. Again, this is not a generic, just a heads up, perfect, right? It found a solution for me. And now I can go ahead and I can essentially reset my Azure Active Directory password just then and there. So it's going to send a text message to my phone once I click this, and it's going to allow me to actually reset my password, right? Awesome. So the beauty of Atera's autopilot is that this is contextual to your company. So this, right? So I'm in a demo account right now, but it'll keep trying until if it doesn't work, what it'll do is it will just escalate it to a human. So the beauty of Atera is that it's a contextual platform. So this is not just a generic AI model, right? It's learning from your company-specific knowledge base articles. It's learning from your company-specific scripts and solutions that you give it. And it's also looking at your approved software list to be able to push out actions. So let's take a dive into another use case where Atera's autopilot is actually going to troubleshoot the device directly to see what's going on. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to come in and say, hey, my computer is slow, right? And so now what's going to happen, as always, a ticket is going to be created. But now what we can see is that the AI is actually starting to run some diagnostics for you, right? So right then and there, because we have access to the agent, right, it's going to start running these checks to see why this computer is possibly running slow. Even, this should solve the issue and it should find a solution. But even if it can't find a solution, what it's doing is it's taking a huge chunk of the workload off your team's plate so that when a ticket comes across your desk, you can now pick it up and say, okay, we looked at CPU usage, we looked at all of this stuff, right? Let's move on to the next course of action that the AI actually wasn't able to solve. But in this case, what we can see is it's looking for different actions that it can take. And it's saying, hey, what we can go ahead and do is delete temporary files, right? And these actions are safe and won't remove your personal files. So we've designated the ability to delete temporary files, right, and clean up utility as a safe action. So the autopilot can just go ahead and run this directly. So that action is being executed, and really shortly it will confirm with the user to say, hey, has this worked, right? Cool. So temporary files are cleared. And it will keep, prompting to make sure that we're all good to go. Pretty awesome, right? You no longer have to work on this stuff. Temporary files seems like a pretty straightforward solution to run. So we can take a number of the tier 1 tickets off your team's plates between password resets, issues like this, I don't have access to software. This can all be done directly here. Now, the use case that I've also been alluding to is like an auto assist use case. So let's say this has run, and as a user, I'm still having trouble with my computer. So I'm going to say, hey, please escalate this to a human. This is just the most direct way to show you what will go on, right? But what will happen really quickly is it's going to say, no problem. We're not going to try solve this anymore. Here's your ticket number. Someone from the team will be in touch with you. Okay. So now let's jump into the back end of Atera, and I'll show you what that package looks like. Right. So this, for those of you that aren't familiar with Atera, this is what a technician's view would be. I can see this is my ticket that has been created, right? The beauty of Atera is you have everything in one pane of glass, right? So you can see who the user is, you can see their device, right? You can set in all of these automations all in place. But what I want to focus on over here is this autopilot handoff. So from our partners that are leveraging this tool so far, we see that the autopilot can resolve 80% of tier 1 tickets. So don't have access to software, my computer's running slowly, I forgot my password. But in the case that it can't solve those tickets, what it's going to do is it's just going to do a lot of the work for you. All right. So with this conversation summary, I can see why this is being escalated. In a lot of the times, the escalation is actually, hey, the autopilot says, hey, we can't actually solve this. It will say the work that is being done, so you don't have to go back and forth to see what's going on. And it's going to give the technician a head start and said, here's the recommended step for how we can move forward. Right. So incredibly useful. Now, on that same token, right, we also have AI running through the entire account, right? And so we have a nifty AI center on the left-hand side, and we have AI agents that are looking and scanning all of your tickets, and they're also looking at remote sessions to say, hey, we can help beef up the knowledge base article and the script library to see, to provide different solutions to make things automated. So it found 2 tickets about setting up a Gong user and integrating with Zoom. I'm going to hit review article. And what we can see is this is a structured knowledge base article that the AI has suggested. On the other side of this as well, we have remote access, right, via Splashtop. And what the AI is going to do is it's going to look at your remote sessions, and it's essentially going to say, hey, we saw that this manual process was run, right? What we can go ahead and do is we can turn that into a script, right? That you can now automate that action that was run. Now, as I mentioned, the autopilot is contextual to your organization. So you're telling it, hey, here is the knowledge base articles that is unique to our organization. You're telling it, hey, here are the scripts and the solutions that we want you to run. You're telling it the software that it can go ahead and deploy directly to endpoints, right? So it's really an extension of your team, and it just keeps getting smarter and smarter and smarter as we go through. Cool. Great. So I'm going to pivot back to my slides. And so to recap, what makes our autopilot unique and the very, very different to what else there is on the market is we have agents on the devices, right? Because we have that underlying RMM functionality with it. And because we have that, right, the AI is able to interact with the agent, and you're able to coach it what to do in certain scenarios, right? So like we saw in that slow computer issue, it ran all of the diagnostics, right? It summarized what was going on with the diagnostics. It then found a solution and it pushed out a solution to that endpoint, right? There is no other product on the market that will be able to do that. We see this, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, as being able to reduce 80% of your tier 1 tickets, which is a huge time saver for you guys, and you can focus on more impactful work as it goes forward and just free up more of your time. We know all how busy you are, and so that's what we're here to do, is we want to free up a lot of the work that's coming through. So I know Lior has been answering some questions in the chat. If there are any questions. Oh, it's just me on the thing, on the demo. Cool. Any questions in the chat that I can help answer for the time being? Cool. Great. So I can't see any questions coming through. Nope. Michael Russ asked a question about the resources that it takes up. And it's not super heavy in terms of the resources that it does take up. We make it to be as low impactful as possible. Otherwise, we'd have huge trouble with the clients that are using it because one would use it if it's running slow. But if you're looking for a more technical answer, we can definitely get you that. Sean asked about pricing. So pricing for autopilot is based on the end user itself that's interacting with the autopilot, right? And there's different scale metrics for that. And so if you fill out, a survey at the end, our sales team will be in contact with you and can walk through the finer details of the pricing. Any other questions in the chat while I have you all? What does onboarding look like? Yeah, we have some time, so I'll talk through it. Look, so the onboarding looks like is we partner very closely with you. And so, this could take anywhere between 2 to 6 weeks to get you onboarded, depending on what the scope of your engagement is. Essentially, it depends if you want to use Atera's core product or you just want to use your existing ticketing solution as well. So it does very much vary. But essentially, what we want to do is we want to set up some core integrations with you, like Azure Active Directory or Okta or Google Space, so we can, help with the users there. Then we look at your softwares. Then we look to see, do we need to import your current knowledge base articles? Do we need to import your current scripts? So it very much varies, but again, I would say probably 2 to 6 weeks is what you're looking at from an onboarding standpoint. But on that same token, you can turn this on very quickly and get some quick wins, right? And those quick wins are password resets. Those quick wins are if your knowledge base articles quick to import, answering knowledge base articles, and then over time it just gets better, smarter, and more powerful. How about creating new users or terminations? Yeah, so like onboarding workflows and offboarding workflows, I guess is what you're asking about. Again, it really depends on what you're looking for. Everyone looks at onboarding a little bit differently. If it's just as straightforward as like you have the right parameters and you want to integrate it into a tool like Salesforce, could be possible. But like complex workflows, we'd need to look into it a little bit more. Like adding to AD. Yeah, so our AD integration is a continuous sync. So we're automatically, reading from your Active Directory and adding them to Atera so they can have access to the autopilot, and then they could authenticate in and have it in their teams, etc. But in terms of Atera adding the user into Active Directory, we need to get back to you on that one. So if you want to submit a note, we can definitely talk more about this, Sean.
Don't forget to fill out the survey so that we have your contact information and we can reach out to you.
Yeah. So, Joel, it does integrate with Teams, right? And so you are able to interact with the autopilot via Microsoft Teams. If you're an MSP, it's sounding like you are an MSP, you can make this available to your different clients, which is a really nice value add. Great. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone for joining today. If you're already existing Atera customers and you'd love to share your experience about Atera, please feel free to rate us on G2. And as Danny mentioned, we have a survey running. And so if you want to get in touch with us, feel free to fill that out and we'll get back to you. Maybe it will be me, maybe it'll be another team member. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining today. It was great and excited to sort of maybe chat to you all on one-on-ones. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.